Hello everybody. Just get comfortable. This video is not a Meghan Markle video. It's not about Meghan Markle. So if you're looking for a Meghan Markle fest, then you're in the wrong place. This video is about particularly three YouTubers, according to Taz, Murky Meg and Yankee Wally. Just to clear a few things up, no one's paying me to do this. My YouTube channel is not monetized. I don't run adverts. If YouTube run an advert on this, it's no money for me. No one's asked me to do this. I'm not related to anybody, and I am just giving my opinions on a particular topic that seems to be going on at the moment. I'm not doing it from behind a keyboard. I'm not doing it under an anonymous name. Just to give you some background about me, I've been on the internet since 1993, so pretty much when it was born. It was very, very basic back in those days. And for many years, I've felt that if I have something that I really mean and I really want to say it, I say it as me. I don't da-da-da-da-da as hiding behind anonymity. Having said that, I don't actually approve of Facebook because it kind of forces people out there. I don't do social media. I don't class YouTube in the same way as social media because I love YouTube. I've definitely been on YouTube since it was launched, and I watch old TV shows, I listen to music, and I love listening to people's opinions. I love hearing what people think about certain things, various subjects. On a political spectrum, because it seems to me that people get pigeonholed very easily. You're either the left, or you're the right, or you're a commie, or you're a fascist. There's a lot of, ever since the dreaded referendum, there's been a lot of extreme views, but so everybody knows where I'm coming from. I would say politically I lean more left than right, but I'm pretty moderate, down the middle. With the referendum, I am what people would refer to as a Remoaner. I'm definitely not in favour of the idea of Brexit, and it's happened now, that's that. If I was an American citizen, I think it's very hard to believe that I would ever have voted for Donald Trump. Not sure who I would vote for if I was American, and that's their politics. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm 51 years old, so I am middle-aged, or old lady, as some people might say. But I'm not a Brexiteer, and I don't support Trump, because it seems to me people sort of pigeonhole. If people are interested in YouTube accounts such as Murky Meg, Taz, or Wally, that I've read some things viewers, subscribers, such as myself, are categorised automatically that we are old Karens or something. My kids are always telling me about Karens. And that we're very far right, and there always seems to be a blur of politics. I'm very interested in the royal family, very interested. One of my favourite things to do is to go on Wikipedia, and I like to go back to Victoria and her children and piece together all her other children and who they married, other European families, and the Russian Romanov family. I'm very interested in all that sort of thing, really, really interested. I do admit I watch Lady Colin Campbell as well. She talks a lot about history and stuff like that. And I also follow a couple of other YouTubers, and I hope I pronounced the name right because I've never been quite sure. I think it's Lilani of Barbados. She's a lady who lives in Jersey, and I really enjoy her videos. They're very light-hearted, quite entertaining. And I think my favourite actually is Pdina. I really like Pdina. Pdina is an American lady. She is very analytical. She explains all about teachable moments, and I'm really interested to hear what she has to say. Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned, I don't do Twitter. There is a Twitter account of mine, a historical one. If anybody comes across it, you'll see there haven't been any tweets. I could never get into it. They go back 10, 15 years, something like that. And you'll know it's mine, and I can't even get into it. I can't remember what the password is. It's a picture of my backside, actually, in a corset with a black gloved hand and a handcuff. And I think I put my interests down as Crime Watch, Escapology, and travelling, something like that. So if you see that, that's mine. I have been on Twitter. I went on Twitter during the general election of 2019, and that was a disaster. I stupidly suggested people should vote for the Lib Dems because Joe Swinson was saying, well then let's cancel Brexit, and I thought that was a really good idea. I was absolutely eaten alive. I mean, talk about death threats. A lot of death threats and stuff, and people were really angry that I dared to suggest that anybody should vote Lib Dem. Now, to come back to the YouTubers that I'm talking about, I have noticed, I couldn't help but notice, that they have Twitter accounts, and that some of their accounts have been suspended, and that there seem to be people who are actively, like groups, like mobs, on the internet. That's how I see it. Yeah, I see that there are certain elements on the internet who would really like these, well, they want these accounts shut down, and I see that Murky Meg and Yankee Wally have had their Twitter accounts suspended. Because although I don't post on Twitter, I don't have a Twitter account, I can Google somebody. Like, for example, I can Google someone famous and I can go directly to their Twitter and see what they've been tweeting. And as I say, I'm not so much a participant as a reader. I like reading it, I'm interested in it. And they've had their accounts suspended. And I've seen the allegations are because they are racist. Well, I was very shocked. I have been watching Murky Meg, according to Taz, and Yankee Wally for about a year now. And I'm very interested in their take on things, their critique, if you like. I don't see it as hate speech at all. Especially Murky Meg is very analytical. Taz is more of an opinion piece, like this is what Taz thinks. These are her opinions. Wally is just goes off on one and chat, and I love that. It's a bit like having a conversation with my gran. But I have never heard any of them say anything racist at all. And I see this more and more and more, that people are accused of racism where there is none. And that's very dangerous territory. And it frightens people, actually, and makes people feel really uncomfortable. You cannot just say to somebody, you are white, therefore you are racist, or you are a white woman, therefore you are racist. That's a terrible thing to say. That's saying all white women are racist. And I have seen comments on Twitter that are all white women are racists, and that Taz particularly was accused of being racist, an overweight racist. I think people were making comments about her. Well, number one, I don't think she's particularly overweight. And number two, that's another thing about these ladies. They don't body shame. Taz goes out of her way to say, I'm not going to talk about somebody else's weight. I'm going to talk about the shape of somebody's body. I don't think Murky even gets onto the subject. She doesn't even say, I'm not going to talk about it. She just doesn't talk about it. It seems that these accounts are being attacked. And as I see it, unjustly attacked. Very unjustly. They are people who are critical of a public figure, and they may not like that public figure. There are lots of public figures that people don't like. It's not the way to go about it, to form lynch mobs on the internet that go after people just because somebody said, I don't like somebody, or I don't believe what they say. It's not on to just, well, that's it, we'll set an army of trolls, and it's trolling behaviour. It really is. Some of the things I've seen on Twitter in the last 24 hours, I'm just reading them, I'm not participating. I can't even like somebody's comment, retweet it, nothing. I don't have Twitter, okay? I just read it and I'm shocked. I mean, there is one royal correspondent, royal reporter, I don't know what the official term would be, Angela Levine. She strikes me as a very conservative lady, probably a lot more conservative than me. And I've never seen anything racist. And she seems to be a target. And there also seems to be an allegation that it's any accounts that critique Meghan Markle are therefore organised, that there's some big head of an organisation that is paying all these people. Presumably they're supposed to all sit in the same office, or some people have said they think they're all the same person. I can assure you there's a lot more accounts out there than these three people. And two of my favourites, as I've already said, is Lilani of Barbados and Pdina. And they are both women of colour. And they are both quite critical of Meghan Markle. I don't want to get them into trouble or them end up with an army of people who go after them. But anyone who tweets that these women are racist, could you supply any evidence of it? Maybe I'm mistaken. Perhaps there's something from a deep, deep, dark past that I'm not aware of. But I can't find anything at all. Not even in the comments section. I mean, people say things, they give an opinion. Oh, I don't like that, I didn't like her dress, blah, blah, blah. Nothing that any other celebrity doesn't have. But I haven't seen anything racist. And if I had, I would report it. If I'd got a sniff of it, I wouldn't even watch their channels. There is nothing there. And it seems to me that some people think it's sufficient to just say, oh, racist. And that's it. Okay. Kangaroo court, tried, convicted, guilty. That's it. We don't have to produce any evidence. We just say it. We'll just say it. Well, that is seriously, seriously dangerous territory. Suppressing freedom of speech is one thing. That's bad enough. Because people have opinions and they're entitled to have their opinions. And you can't force people to like somebody. It cannot be, thou shalt love Meghan Markle, or thou shalt like Meghan Markle, or see what happens to you if you don't. Because, alright, let's say you could throw everybody off the internet. They're not allowed on any social media. They're not allowed on YouTube, Twitter, nothing. They're not even allowed to use the internet. Anybody who does not like Meghan Markle, is that going to make all those people like Meghan? Will it? Because I'm really interested in the topic. I'm very interested in people, their opinions, where they're coming from. I've no doubt I will hear a few opinions on this video in the comments section below. Or maybe nobody will watch it, because like I say, I don't have any subscribers. I've only got one other video on this, which people feel free to watch it. It's 30 seconds long. But there seems to be this terrible, terrible war going on the internet. And I don't think it's good for anybody. It's incredibly unhealthy to watch. It's quite worrying in some instances. I hear of occasions of people saying that their photographs have been taken of their children and then produced to them by an anonymous person. Well, that's not creepy or scary. Much? Is it? I would have thought that's actually illegal. I think that's against the law. And if somebody is doing that because they love Meghan, they support Meghan, please don't do that, because when people see that, you're not doing her any favours. People are going to like her even less because they might think she approves of that. And from what I've seen of Meghan when she speaks of kindness and compassion, and so her followers, surely that's what she, to me, seems to be advocating. Then if you follow Meghan, if you like Meghan, if you're a fan of Meghan's, then that is what she wants you to do. I don't think I've ever heard her say, attack. So why are you doing it? Some people just don't like people, celebrities, people in the media. It's part of the territory. There's an old expression, isn't there? You can't please all of the people all of the time. You can only please some of the people some of the time. Well, I personally just don't think that that's the way to go about it. Now, as far as the press are concerned, because this is the other thing, right? I've already explained. I'm not hard right wing. I'm not Brexiteer, and I'm not in favour of Donald Trump. I'm not particularly keen on Boris Johnson, actually, between you and me. But the press, right? Now, I've had my own run-ins with the press, and it is really hard. People take it personally. It's very difficult when you're in the newspapers to see things with an objective point of view. And I particularly had a bad relationship with the Daily Mail. So I'm not a fan of the Daily Mail. And there have been little tete-a-tetes, legally speaking, between my husband, me, and the Daily Mail. And they were resolved to our satisfaction. Let's put it that way. But they are a newspaper. That's the nature of the beast. They are there to they're not there to exactly report the news. They're not that type of newspaper. They're there to tell stories, especially the Mail on Sunday. It's a storytelling. I remember years ago, a lady came to me, a publicist, and she wanted to do a story on me for the Mail on Sunday, and she said, come on, it's got to be done like a story. This is something people read on a Sunday morning. It's a story. It's not necessarily news. Now, in my case, I didn't choose to be in the newspapers. I didn't apply, I didn't audition. It wasn't my ambition. It was a side effect of my circumstances at the time. So it wasn't through choice. But with other celebrities, it is through choice. And with Meghan, they've left the royal family. They said they wanted privacy, and I think they could have done that very easily and just gone, and they could have bought a fabulous place in the middle of Canada, near a bear reserve or something. Wouldn't that have been amazing? They could have done wildlife photography, real David Attenborough stuff for a couple of years, and then they could have come back. They could have sold that to Netflix, and everybody would have been like, oh wow, that's adorable. And they could have done home video, we designed our own log cabin, and these are the children growing up with nature and everything. And they could have stayed off the grid. They could have done that for 2 or 3 years, and then they could have come back if they wanted to. It seems to me that they actively want to be in the news, in the media, a lot of the time, and that is the territory. Especially speaking about anything that touches on politics. Take my word for it. I've been there. I mean, even if it's classed as a humanitarian subject, which I know a lot of them are, it's still edgy. It's edging on politics. My mum was a politician. I've seen her take heat. Well, she's not with us anymore. But I know what it's like. And I remember when I was little watching her thinking, good grief, last thing I ever want to be is a politician when I grow up. I couldn't believe the heat she took. And there wasn't even social media then. It's just, it comes with the territory. You can never fight fire with fire. It just doesn't work like that at all. Just make it worse. I know because I've had people in my life, I'm 51, I've encountered one or two tricky human beings, and when I was younger I thought, yeah, fight fire with fire. It just gets bigger, 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 worse, worse, worse. It's better to fight fire with water. Try and talk to people without being insulting, without overreacting. Try and talk to people. Don't threaten people. I think it's so wrong and so unjust, because sometimes when I'm listening to those particular three YouTubers, that's Taz, Murky and Wally, sometimes I'm quite surprised at how the take they have on things. You know, I think they're going to go a certain way, and then woof, they go another way, and I think, oh, I was surprised you went that way, because there was an opportunity. You could have been meaner, and they don't. And as for the racism, I just haven't seen any. Basically, censoring people and dictating to people, you must love Meghan. You cannot say anything against Meghan. I mean, not even a little, nobody can say a little tiny thing against Meghan. That's dictatorial. I think that's very dictatorial. Nobody's going to be allowed to say anything, about anyone. And that's just not realistic. And that's never going to happen. Well, anyway, I shall look forward to any feedback. This is not the beginning of a monetized YouTube channel. This is not the beginning of a YouTube career. This is a one-off. If there are repercussions of some sort or another as a result of me being brave enough to show you who I am, I'm a real person, I'm not a robot, then there might be a follow-up video. Yeah, if people... I mean, for example, years ago, Graham and I did a YouTube video on another channel. I mean, you can look me up. It's to do with the travellers in Brighton, and it's a video we were very, very proud of, because the people, the travelling community, I mean, like gypsies, they live in caravans, nomadic communities, they were getting a really hard time. So Graham and I did this video asking their opinion. What's it like to be moved on? What's it like to sort of feel like a pariah all the time? We put the video up, and I was attacked savagely. I was called every name under the sun. Absolutely. I was a tree-hugging, lefty-loving, do-gooding, and then a blah, 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 blah series of expletives of various... I've been called everything under the sun on that video. So I went and looked at it last night, and there used to be over 1,000 comments on that particular video. Now there's only about 450. So I went down, and I used to make it my business to reply to every single comment on that video. And even if someone was really nasty, really rude, I'd be polite, I'd be diplomatic, I would answer their question. And some of the comments were really... I had to take a deep breath before answering them. And it seems that YouTube or the bots, or perhaps people have complained about these rude comments I got on that channel, they've been deleted. I don't believe it can be every single user. It can't be like 400 odd users who've just decided, oh, I'll go back, oh, I must go back and delete that rude comment I made 10, 15 years ago to Fiona. No, I think it's a robot or something, or it's the algorithm of YouTube they've gone. And it is such a shame, because some of these people, I used to say to them, I'm so glad you said that rude thing and that anti-traveller comment, because one day there won't be people like you, and kids in the future won't believe people like you existed in the first place. And I want them to see your bad behaviour. I want them to see for themselves. I want it to stay for history. And the robots kind of spoilt that by going through and just delete. And apart from anything else, all my comments are still there. It looks like I'm talking to myself on half of them, and I swear before God, there were answers. And there were some people who were incredibly anti-traveller, and I actually made friends with some of them, and we agreed to differ. They'd say, I'm a farmer, I've had them on my land, I don't like them, they were nothing but trouble, and I would say, okay, fair enough, that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But these people at least talked to me. I didn't try and say, shut up, silence, you have to be dictated to. The other day I made a comment that I sympathise with Thomas Markle. I feel sorry for him. And somebody who's presumably supports Meghan Markle ordered me not to give my sympathy to Thomas. How dare you? Withdraw it immediately. And I said, no, that's my opinion. You can't tell somebody who they can and can't give sympathy to. I mean, is that the extent that it's at now? It's not only thou shalt love Meghan, thou shalt approve of everything with Meghan, thou shalt never criticise Meghan, thou shalt not give sympathy to Thomas. Dearie, dearie me. I mean, I'm going to have to go and make a cup of tea. I've got a dry throat. Stop. Oh. Sorry about that, dry throat. And now the thing with the YouTubers is, after I've been watching them a while, you sort of get to know their personalities. And some of them, particularly Taz, she includes things about her life, where she's been, what she's been doing, her doggies, that kind of thing, things about her family. And you get a little bit of an angle on these people, and as I said before, I'm very interested in other people and their takes, and you get to know them and they become like friends in a way. It's a familiar voice, they're chatting away. I don't see it as hate speech. Certainly not racism, as I have already said more than once. I can't say that enough. I just haven't come across anything racist. But I mean, the hate speech thing, I did have some other supporters of Meghan. I can't remember exactly what it was, the derogatory thing they said. It was along the lines of that I was a toxic, poisonous snake and a piece of crap, or something like that. And again, I think that was on the same comment where all I said was, I feel sorry for Thomas. 5 words, triggered a few people. I feel sorry for Thomas. And I do feel sorry for Thomas. He's an elderly gentleman. He's all at sea, clearly. He is surrounded by media sharks. I'm sure they don't have his best interests at heart. Not deep down inside. They are running a business. They are trying to get a story. He's trying to feel his way through this situation. He has clearly not been very well. He's getting on. He's clearly very upset. And it seems to me that he's committed some cardinal sin, the most unforgivable sin, by trying to improve his image, by having a few pictures taken of him lifting weights and under the advice of some sort of paparazzi. I don't know who it was, but that's what he claims, that the guy taking the pictures said, promise I'll make you look good, I'll make you look good. And actually, I don't think, I really didn't care when I saw the pictures. I just thought, okay, so what? There's an awful lot that I see, I just think, I don't care about that. So what? I'm not interested. And I am interested in the fact that I'm not even allowed to offer, I think he's 74, a 74-year-old, my sympathy. Now, my dad died when I was 25. And although I wasn't a child, it was a shock. It was a shock. I loved my dad, warts and all. He was a fabulous guy. I really loved him. But he wasn't perfect. If my mum and dad were alive today, and they were sitting here and I said to them, do you guys think you're perfect? They would be the first to say, no. Remember when we messed up here, Fiona? Remember, oops, do you remember that? That was awful. And what about that? And what about that? And we'd laugh about it and I'd say, yeah, of course, but I wouldn't have cut them dead. I mean, that's in my opinion, that's cold. But that's up to her. But what is my decision and what is up to me is who I offer sympathy to. And if I want to offer sympathy to Thomas, does that make me a white, racist woman? Or if I don't entirely believe everything I hear from a celebrity's mouth, or if I outright don't believe someone, does that make me a racist because I don't believe somebody? Does it have to be? We have to love, we have to like, we have to agree with each other about absolutely everything. Is that how it has to be? And a lot of the stuff I've seen on Twitter that is against Taz, Wally and Murky, to me looks very inflammatory. Very, very inflammatory and divisive. And it's almost as if it's designed to cause conflict or to make out there's something there that there isn't. And then that creates a lot of anxiety and a lot of upset. And social media really is pretty much the root of all evil in the first place. It's social mania, it should be called. And I think if people don't like what they read there, just don't go on it. Close down your Twitter account. I used to do Facebook and I stopped doing it years ago. Best decision I ever made. Best decision. As I say, YouTube is the only platform. I love YouTube. My favourite thing to do on YouTube is watch old episodes of things like Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie and kids shows that I used to watch when I was little. You know, I never got to see what the end happened. I think, oh, I've got YouTube now, I'll look that up, I'll find out what. Did Batman actually defeat the Joker on that episode? Yeah, I often wondered because my dad taught me to turn the telly off and I never found out. Or Thunderbirds. I love watching things like that. And I watch old black and white movies as well. And I also watch people's critique of old black and white movies because I think I'd like to hear what they thought of, for example, 12 Angry Men, my favourite film. I highly recommend it because it's all about justice and judgment and a lot of it's to do with racism and prejudice and how in the film they totally defeat it, they totally nail it. It's a great film, the Henry Fonda version. You have to watch the Henry Fonda version. Saw it when I was 12 for the first time. And I watch clips from that. I can't watch the whole thing, you got to pay for it or something. But I can watch clips from that and I love old films. Or The Wicked Lady, Margaret Lockwood. So YouTube's, it's not like Facebook or my kids do something called Snapchat. I don't even know what that is. And Instagram is like pictures of people. I think my kids do that, I'm not sure. But Twitter seems to me to do two things. Number one, it's for sort of famous people, celebrities, who want to very quickly put the record straight and they'll tweet, you know, that is not the case, or this was the case. And it's a way of them reaching their fan base. And I think that's actually quite a good idea. But then on the other hand, the other job Twitter seems to do is just drip poison amongst the general population who use it. I don't think it's a particularly positive thing. I know it's very upsetting for people like Murky, Yankee. Taz still has her Twitter, as far as I know, that they have lost followers and it's an account they built up. But I would suggest that I think, ladies, you dodged a bullet on that one. I would just avoid Twitter. Stick to YouTube. Stick to what you do. You do great content. I'm very interested in what you have to say and your take on certain things, and you surprise me an awful lot of the time. I will see something in the news about royal family, and I'll think, oh, I wonder what they're going to make of that. I think they're going to make this, that, and the other. And quite often you surprise me, and I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, right, that is a surprise. And one YouTube account may not share the opinions of another YouTuber's account. There's another YouTuber I watch, and I really hope I'm not dropping him in it by doing this video. Hope this, only a few people watch this, relevant people. And pray to God, no more than that. A guy called River. Oh, I love his videos. He wears the most fantastic clothes, his makeup, his mannerisms, his fan, his chit chat, and he very often takes a really different tack to all of the other YouTubers. He'll take a sharp turn and go off somewhere else, and I love him. And he's actually the only YouTuber that I watch. My husband will actually say, "Oh, is River uploaded? Oh, yeah, I'll watch that." So Graham's a bit of a fan as well. He's quite entertaining. He's quite funny. He's very colourful, and I love his chair. He sits in this great big chair. And I also watch YouTubers who analyse body language and things like that, because I am interested. Okay, as far as Yankee Wally particularly is concerned, I would like to say, Sadie, I would love to hear more of your story. I know that someone on the internet has tried to shame you by saying, haha, look, this woman has a past. Well, firstly, who doesn't? Take it from me. I have a past, and I have the great privilege of having a Wikipedia page out there just to make sure everybody knows all about it, and it's thrown in my face all the time. If I get into a ding-dong with someone on the internet, they quite frequently go, ha, she was Britain's most wanted woman. So take the notice of all that. Everybody's got a past, but I would particularly like to hear your story, because I have friends who've worked in that industry, and I have people who are very close to me. I've never done it because, number one, I just never had the looks for it. And number two, I was just too shy and too scared and too much of a coward. I have enormous admiration, enormous admiration. It's a very complex subject, and I would love to hear your story, if you can, or in some context. I think that would be brilliant. And on the subject of any of the YouTubers that I watch, I enjoy watching the content. I think it's great content. Keep up the good work, ladies and gentlemen. I don't always agree with a YouTuber that I watch. There might be some things they say I think, no, I don't really get that, or I'm not coming from that place. But that's what the comments section is for. And I think I saw Megan on the TV the other day or something saying social media should have a dislike button as well as a like button. Well, I think YouTube has got that, has always had it. There's a thumbs down and a thumbs up. I see Harry is involved with a company that deals with misinformation on the internet. And what I would say to him and people who support that idea is there is a fine line between freedom of speech and censorship. And sometimes, if an awful lot of people are telling somebody, I really don't like what you're saying, perhaps it's not robots. I know there are a lot of bots out there, and it's important not to get into an argument with a bot, because a bot will never give up. They're relentless. And I know that sometimes in politics there are orchestrated groups. I'm sure there are. But it's not always the case. And isn't it worth considering, at least considering, Harry, that maybe people don't like what you're doing or what you're saying or what Megan is doing or saying because they genuinely don't like it. And the best way I find to find out that is to learn to listen instead of speak. Take a step back and start reading, and as I've said before, YouTubers surprise me, people in the comments section surprise me. I think, well, I didn't see that one coming, I didn't expect that reaction, I'm very surprised, I never thought of that. So sometimes I think the art is in listening, in learning to listen. I think that's really important, and I think Harry and Meghan could do to listen a bit more. And I think if they did, they really tried, they might suddenly have a eureka moment and think, oh right, okay, and then get the point. And freedom of speech is a very important thing. It's a very, very important freedom in itself. Obviously, sometimes people say things that are completely illegal, absolutely horrendous, and there are laws that do deal with that, and social media is still really quite embryonic, it's still learning. And things will improve over time, I'm sure. But freedom of speech is so important. We've just had Remembrance Sunday, and a lot of people died for the ideology that we should have the freedom of expression. And that's just about it. Well, those are my thoughts and opinions. If you want, if you must, let me know your thoughts and opinions. And please don't subscribe or hit the notification button, because this is a one-off. That's why it's taken a little bit long, so I can make sure I got everything in, which I think I did.